Hey everybody, Mike from LA1 here. Welcome back. And since we're now that the F1 2022 season is underway, why don't we take a look back at some of my favorite liveries? Of course, since F1 2022 isn't out yet, and more than likely the F2 won't be added in until 2022, unless EA decided to get those cars in right away, chances are those two are going to be their own separate videos. Now, there are a few rules here. Before we actually get this underway. Just to be clear, any special livery that says Alpine or Red Bull Academy, those are out. I'm only going to be covering the regular liveries. Just want to be perfectly clear. All right, let's begin. Let's start off with my least favorite for 2021. And as much as I hate to say this, my least favorite F2 car in F1 in the 2021 season, and as much as I really hate to say this, is Campos. I mean, it had some great ideas in theory, and the fact that this was a paying tribute to their late founder, but the rest of the livery just had a lot left to be desired. And plus, let's be honest, if this was the silver car, this probably would have been better, but the fact that it was just a bit white, just no. Okay, my second least favorite, it is Charu. Now, to be fair, this doesn't have the same issue that Campos had, but the problem is, we've seen a red, white, and blue car with Haas, and I think they did it a little better, even though with the bad message of the Uralkali sponsorship. I think this is probably a little better than the Campos, but it's not by much. But overall, this car, red, white, and blue schemes have been done to death. And speaking of red, white, and blue schemes, up next, Trident. Now, don't get me wrong, Trident did a very good job, did it a little better, but I really wish they did a little more on the engine cover, but I'm guessing they didn't want to go that route, per se. But yeah, I think this is a step up from the Charu racing systems. Next up, MP Motorsport. Now, this one I was scared to death that this is probably going to be my least favorite, but honestly, I thought it was really good. But I really wish they chose a different livery scheme, having the front part of the car be white and add a little more blue to the mix, and the fact that the halo is black just seems a little out of place in my eyes. So yeah. And up next, you guys expected this one to be near the top of my list. And I know I have to put this on here. High Tech GP. Honestly, if I have to pick a favorite for the High Tech, it's probably the Lawson scheme. But overall, the fact that High Tech would have gotten my favorite would have gone right here. But since both their drivers this season were Red Bull Academy drivers, yeah, this was probably the best place to put them. Now we're getting into some really good categories, starting off with dams. And this is a very good car. I really like this scheme. And I like the fact they didn't go too far with their driver academy, especially with Nisani. And they put the Williams Racing Academy driver on the near the front of the car. And I think they learned from the mistake that that MP did by having the halo fit the color scheme. And another car that's kind of similar, but I really enjoy just as much, HWA Race Lab. And let me just say, that number font. Even though, yes, they have one of the worst drivers in Alessio Deletta, which I think he's gone, thank God. But yeah, this is a really nice car. Yeah, we're in our top 3 here, and the next one, Carlin. And again, this is a really nice scheme. Who knew neon would actually work very well here? And yeah. And again, 1,000 points for Carlin for putting the number font on the Red Bull car, which, by the way, works really well on this. Which again improves what High Tech did. And number 3, my third favorite. Who else but Virtuosi Racing? This car is simple, but it gets the job done. And honestly, this looks really good. And plus, the old school number on the front of the car is really good. And I gotta love the fact that the Alpine team actually did the same thing for Zhou Guanyu's car. Now let's get to number 2. Yep, my second favorite car livery for F2 is Prema. Honestly, this was a really hard call on this one. This was a really tough call here. But I really like the red, and I really like the hint of blue that they used for Oscar Piastri's car at the time. But I will admit, the reason why this is number 2, and I really hate to say this, is Robert Schwartzman. Look, this is Schwartzman car, and look, I get why, because SMP Racing is his primary sponsor, but I really wish both of them the halos were red. It's the same issue I had with the Charu car. With the MP Motorsport car, excuse me. And my favorite car livery this season is of course ART. What else that hasn't been said about this car? The livery is gorgeous. The number font is nice. And of course, Sauber is probably one of the best cars. This is probably one of the best cars on the grid. And boy, I cannot wait to see more of the 2022 car with Teal Polcher could potentially be a title favorite. Now let's get to the F1 cars. Okay, in the same order. Thankfully, hopefully this won't take nearly as long as the other one did. So anyway, here we go. And number 10, my least favorite livery in the F1 last season. Livery? It's Williams. I think, honestly, I thought the Williams car could have been better, but I think with the terms of this livery, it felt like they were trying too hard to try and be different. But I will admit, the number font looks really good and is very, very different. I have to say. Number 9, this one might be a little controversial, but I'm putting in Alfa Romeo at number 9. And I think this one is probably the most controversial, mainly because I felt like this is the same identical livery, which thankfully this year they changed it up a bit. But the fact that you choose the same livery 3 years in a row, which I get because last year it was because of the pandemic and all. But yeah, this is not. This is a same livery. Thankfully they stepped it up this year. Number 8. Yeah, you knew this one had to come up eventually. Haas. Yes, let's get this out of the way. The Uralkali sponsorship was a terrible idea. But that didn't say they got this all wrong. I really like the old school number font that you see on the back of the engine cover. And honestly, the red number on the front is really nice. It's really nice. But, of course, the messaging that as a Russian driver, especially now what's been going on with the Ukraine situation, just can't help but leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Number 7, this one's a toughie, but I'm putting in Alpine. Now, honestly, this one they did a really great job, but I really wish my big complaint is that I really wish they came up with more on the design of the halo, and I really wish they incorporated some blue on the number font on the engine cover on the red area, just so they can have the French colors on here. But then again, you can only ask for so much, but I'll give them bonus points for putting the name of the car on the nose. Number 6, I'm putting in McLaren here. Again, this is the same thing with the Alfa Romeo, but to their credit, they actually added more sponsors to the mix. So, added some new sponsors, and that was pretty much it. And plus, they added the end racism on the Halo, so that's what pretty much saved it from being near where Alfa Romeo was. Okay, halfway, number 5, I'm putting Red Bull here. Now, here's the thing. This paint scheme is iconic, and I really wish they made a small tweak here and there, like making the Red Bull more darker tone, kind of similar to a later entry. We'll get to that in a minute. But adding more decals, more sponsors because of Checo and everything, still is really nice. And plus Oracle now being the title sponsor of the team, this is definitely a big step up. So yeah, still an iconic livery, but I wish they could have made a couple of small tweaks. Okay, number 4, staying in the Red Bull family, AlphaTauri, or as I call it, the Maper F1 team, because no joke, this is exactly the same color scheme as my alma mater. Again, the old school numbering system is nice as well, and honestly, they did a really good job with this car. Really nice car, and honestly, the fact that it's not only Maper color still might be a little bit of favoritism, but still, I really like the scheme. At number 3, we have Mercedes. What else could it not be? I mean, the number font, which is a vast departure from the last few, looks futuristic and it looks really nice. I really wish they colored it in for this creative team, but I really like the one near the nose. It's very nice. And my only complaint is that why is it AMG and not the silver arrows? I have no idea why they got rid of the silver arrows on where the number is. But then again, it is what it is. Overall, this is a still damn good car livery. And number 2, Aston Martin. Now, this one, I could tell you, if it wasn't for the pink of BWT, this probably would have been a really strong contender for number 1. But either that, But either way, this is a really damn good car. The futuristic number font, the placement of the sponsors, the Aston Martin logo is prominent on the hood near the nose. I really wish that another small complaint that I have is I really wish that Cognizant and the Aston Martin logos were flipped. But that's just me personally. And my favorite livery last year, yep, it's Ferrari. I mean, what else that hasn't been said about this livery? This is easily, I love the gradient. They didn't go overboard with the gradient of the car. The number font is certainly very unique for Ferrari standards. And they didn't go exactly overboard with sponsors. Which isn't not that bad of an idea. And this is, I mean, sure it has some faults, like there's some blank space on the wheel, on the rear wing where the DRS is. And oh, we cannot wait to see my list for this year when the F1 2022 comes out. And I'll talk more about that. Anyway, yeah, that's my list. Ferrari's at the top of the list. What's your top 10 list? Let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching, everyone.